For this project, we're going to be casting our wax observer board, and you can see all the wax wires I put in here. Those are for air vents, and these are 14 gauge wax wires, and I've added the branches if you watch the mold making video. So on each branch I have an air vent, and that's just so the metal can fill each branch. And for the metal, we're not going to use silver because that'd be way too much, way too expensive. And I don't think we're going to use bronze either, because I think brass will be a better color. So here's a brass rod. And kind of the pale yellow color is more kind of closer to the observer board color. Okay, we got our solution, which is half hydrogen peroxide, half soap. And let's give it a dip. Try to be careful so we don't bend anything. Alright, that looks alright. And we'll give that a little bit to dry, just so there's kind of a thin coat. Maybe like 5 or 10 minutes to dry. So we got our debubbling solution on. And this is so when we pour the plaster in, or the investment, there won't be any bubbles that'll stick to the model. And if bubbles do stick, once you cast it, they'll come out as like little balls, metal balls stuck to your metal cast. So that's just what we're trying to prevent. So now let's put the flask over the top. And just kind of try not to hit anything. Alright, there we go. Cutting this a little bit close. Might need to add a little bit of tape or something just to get another 1/4 inch above that. Okay, I've added some tape, so we should be okay. Usually want to be at least 1/2 inch from touching anything, whether it be the top or the sides of the flask. So here's the investment powder I use, and it works pretty well. Do not try to use plaster of Paris for any of this. I've tried and it doesn't work. The plaster of Paris shrinks once you do the burnout, and it just cracks and it won't work very well. So you need something that's designed for lost wax casting. So now that we mix the investment in the water, we want to get this really mixed. And just keep mixing it. Remember to scrape the sides for at least 3 minutes. And remember to wear a mask when you do this, because this dust is terrible for your lungs. Okay, it's been a few hours. I think you want to wait at least 2 hours before you pop the base off. So just kind of wiggle her off, and looking fine so far. One thing you want to really check for is that you can see the wax, because if you can't see the wax, it's not going to burn out and there's not going to be an opening for air to escape. But we can see it. You can see it there. Smooth. Everything's looking fine so far. Alright, let's talk about the burnout. So if you can read this, this is the kind of full schedule of the burnout. So these are the rates, and these are the hold temperatures, and I've kind of written the hold times over there. Overall, it's around 9 hours, so we're going to do this overnight, starting, I'll delay it so it starts at midnight. So here's the kiln. And the way I like to do this is I have these 2 graphite rods. There's actually 1 graphite rod that I broke in half. And just putting those in there, kind of like that. And I have kind of a piece of clay, dried clay, and I kind of put it in the middle. And then I like to just put the flask on the rods like that. At 1,350 degrees, the wax just kind of turns to smoke. And because of that, I have ventilation. I have a big window above this, And I'm going to put this box fan in the window while it's running. So make sure you do that, or you do this outside. So I didn't film the casting process because it's too much running around and I'd probably make more mistakes. And I didn't think it'd work, but it did work. So here's our casted observer ward. And everything went okay. I did not heat up the metal hot enough, I don't think, because it didn't make it all the way down most of the arms, except for this one. This thing that kind of looks like an eyelash over that eye. Focus on that. That's actually from a small crack that was in the investment. Yeah. It's kind of funny how it looks like an eyelash. That's not intentional, so I'm gonna take that off. And this is from the very top vent. So the metal made it all the way up and part way down the vent before hardening. And I used a bit of extra metal than I needed to because I wasn't sure exactly how much. So that's what all that is. This thing is pretty heavy as is. So since I didn't film it, I'll show my casting setup. So I melt the metal in this. This is a little crucible. And over here is just a tin can or a coffee can filled with sand and rocks as a counterweight. So the flask goes in here, melt the metal in here, and then I have this set up so I have a sandbag and a pulley attached. So when I let go of this, the sandbag pulls the rope and it spins really fast. And then the melted metal gets kind of shot into the flask. So let's talk about this bit. So I made this. It's pretty simple. This is some kind of metal strap. This is just a can that I cut. So the way this works, here would be the flask. This is an empty flask. So when that's hot, that just gets shoved in there. Like that. And then this goes up, that goes there, and then the wire, there's a nail on the other side or a screw, and this is just wrapped in wire. And that keeps that tightly on there. So for this go around, the metal did not get as hot as it probably should have, and that's just because I used way too much metal than this is kind of designed for. So after I casted it, there was this chunk in the bottom. Luckily there was plenty of metal that was molten, so plenty got in there. So this setup may look a little thrown together, but it works just fine. So with my rotary tool, I cut off the base, and I've grinded down the eyelashes and the air vent attachment, and I tried to grind down that as flat as possible. It doesn't quite stand up on its own. Oh, maybe it does. There it does. For now, we're gonna pickle this to get rid of the black kind of spots, and then we're gonna dip it in our sulfur solution, which will make it a nice even black, so we can polish off the parts that we want to shine. And that'll just add some kind of shadow and some depth, kind of almost like shading to the piece. So let's take this out and put it in our water and baking soda. So this is post pickling. Most of the black dots are gone now. So next, I want where like the whites of the eyeballs would be, I'm going to try to polish those up. Just for like a kind of a textural difference. So to do the polishing, I'm going to use this grindstone. It's a smooth grindstone. Maybe some of these wire brushes. And we'll see how that looks. Okay, so I polished up the eyes a bit so they're a little bit shiny now. We're going to be using liver of sulfur mixed in hot water. This is around a teaspoon worth of it. And this stuff smells really bad, and it'll stain your clothes, so try not to spill it. So just try to give this a quick dunk and see how dark it gets. Okay, so that's what we got. It's kind of darkened a bit. And now we're going to throw this in our baking soda and water to stop the reaction. So I've made this temporary base just so I can have it stand up. Turned out really nice. So all I've done is after it was blackened, I just took these felt tips on the rotary tool and just kind of grinded away at everything I could reach. And then the stuff, I use this one too. So all the parts I couldn't reach just kind of remain that darker color and add some real depth to it. I want to make an either nickel or aluminum kind of matching one to go with it. So we have a observer and a sentry ward, nice pair. And I want to make a nice base. Maybe put the like cliff logo that's in Dota, that kind of eye pyramid looking thing on the base. That might be cool. So that's it. Thanks for watching.